James Twin for the untouchable true school sports. Let's go, baby. Bow!
Be careful what you wish for because it can become a reality.
Yeah. The untouchable True School Sports Empire proudly presents something the boxing games are missing. Hey, what's going on? It's your boy BT, and I came here to talk some boxing with the thousands of True School Sports subscribers. All right, so this is another special report here on True School Sports because this is the home of boxing, guys. And when I say the home of boxing, I mean the home of boxing. I'm not just talking about, Usyk, Crawford, Inoue, Jaron Ennis, Ken Shiro, Angelo Leo. I'm not just talking about the big names in boxing or the guys that are world champions. I'm talking about the entire sport of boxing. So you watch this channel long enough, you're going to hear some fighters you never heard about. Truth be told, that's what this channel is about. It's about really covering the sport of boxing and really bringing things to the light that need to be brought to the light. So in this particular video, we're going to talk about a guy that I'm going to start calling. I got a new nickname for him. I'm going to start calling him the Golden Boy Killer because Oscar De La Hoya, Golden Boy Promotions, they keep bringing in this guy to lose, and he either gets robbed or he knocks out the prospects, and there's no in between. He not losing to the no Golden Boy prospects. So we're going to talk about the fighting pride of Colombia, Kevin Piedrahita. Yes, Kevin Piedrahita. Now, you guys probably won't know who Kevin is. He's not a big name. He hasn't really fought too many times on, big platforms. But I know who he is very well because he was part of that legendary Santa Fe, New Mexico camp house for the Angelo Leo training camp for the Venado Lopez fight. And I can tell you guys this, Kevin is one of the top reasons why Angelo was so ready for that fight. And y'all saw what happened in that fight. Y'all saw how Venado got knocked out. The work he gave Angelo played a big role in that camp. So I didn't know who Kevin was at this time last year. Last year at this time I was in New Mexico with Angelo for that training camp. That's when I learned who Kevin was. And when I would watch him spar, and then when we were in the camp house, I'd watch his fights, and I'd say, damn, this guy can really fight. But you look at his record, his record's not pretty. He's got 10 wins, 3 losses, 1 draw, and 9 knockouts. So he's clearly a puncher. Doesn't really have a big amateur background to speak of because if you go on his box rec, there's not even an amateur tab. So if he had an amateur background, it's not really like a high-level amateur background. So he's had to do a lot of learning on the job and take some fights maybe he wasn't ready for. So when you do that in boxing, you're going to lose some fights that, you probably wouldn't have lost otherwise. But I wanted to speak about a fight that he had recently. It was on one of those like Golden Boy Promotions Thursday night cards. So it's definitely slipped through the cracks because it wasn't even the main event. It wasn't even the co-main event. It wasn't even the co-main event. It was very early on in the show. You had Kevin Piedrahita fighting Bryan Lua. Now, I got to paint a picture for you guys because this was the second time Golden Boy Promotions had brought Kevin in to lose a fight. Kevin was coming off of 2 losses. One was a majority decision to Eric Mondragon, which, I thought Kevin probably could have trained better for that fight. Lost that fight. Then he fought Dominic Valle, who's a good prospect on Pro Box. Actually wound up hurting him once in that fight, but just, again, I thought he could have trained harder for that fight. Probably didn't. Either way, he got started too late. So after 2 losses, they brought him in to lose to Daniel Luna. Now, Daniel Luna, for those that don't know, Daniel Luna was a prospect that Oscar De La Hoya signed because he had over 100 amateur fights. He was someone that was from the same city as Ryan Garcia, Victorville, California. Oscar liked this kid because he could fight a little bit and he had what they call in boxing the look. And he was 5-1. They brought Kevin in to lose to Daniel Luna. And what happened to Daniel Luna? This is what happened to Daniel Luna. So Daniel Luna got drilled in 1 round by Kevin. Wasn't even a hard fight for Kevin. It literally went 65 seconds before he got plastered all over the canvas. So he already ruined that kid's career. That kid got he's 5-2. Who knows where he's going? Because look, let me explain something. Let me explain something to you guys. When it's a lot different to have some losses when you're the one that's brought in to lose. But when you're the one that's getting bankrolled and have the money put behind you, and you fight a bunch of guys you're supposed to beat, if you got a couple losses, something's wrong with you because you're not supposed to lose. So, mind you, Kevin in his career, mind you, he hasn't had a ton of money bankrolled behind him. He's not like a guy where he's being brought in to win. He's most of the time in all of his notable fights being brought in to lose. So let's make no mistake about it. So he destroyed Dan Luna. He sent him packing, right? So now Golden Boy decides to step Kevin up a little more. He was taking on Bryan Lua, and Lua's a guy that had some hype as a fighter. You know, this is a guy in Bryan Lua that was an 8-time national champion. He's fought some notable guys. He's fought Ryan Garcia. He's 2-2 with Ryan Garcia. He's had a amateur rivalry with him. He's fought Devin Haney, lost to him. He's beaten Nikita Abibi. He's beat Duke Reagan, who was an Olympian. He lost to Shakur Stevenson. He's beat Michael Dutch over. So he's fought some guys that, you know, have went on to do some things in boxing, beat some of them, lost to some of them. Either way, a good fighter. You know, a good fighter on the amateur level. 10-0 as a pro. So obviously Golden Boy has plans for Bryan Lua. They're bringing in Kevin because Kevin, you know, showed his value and showed what he could do against Daniel Luna. But they believe Bryan Lua to be on a higher caliber than Daniel Luna, of course, right? So I tuned into the Golden Boy stream hoping that I would see the fight, and guess what, guys? You know what Golden Boy Promotions did? They didn't even show the damn fight. They did kind of, and let me explain to you. So I tuned into the YouTube stream. I tuned into to watch the Golden Boy Killer fight Bryan Lua, right? And I see Gabe Rosado and Beto Duran talking on the microphone, right? And, you know, I don't got nothing against Beto Duran or Gabe Rosado, but I'm not trying to tune in to see Gabe Rosado and Beto Duran talking. They're talking, and meanwhile, I'm looking behind what's going on in the ring because, like, they were, like, angled where the ring was behind them. And I'm seeing Kevin in the ring. So you can kind of see the fight because they were angled on a certain part of the ring. So whenever Kevin and Bryan Lua would go to a certain side of the ring, you could see the fight. But, like, Rosado and Beto Duran are talking and doing previews for the fights deeper on the card. So every time Kevin got in the camera shot, he's putting hands and feet on Bryan Lua. He's beating the brakes off Bryan Lua. But they're not, like, showing it. They're not talking about it. They're not even acknowledging it, right? So I had to go on Twitter. I go on Twitter to see what maybe there was a writer there that was giving an account of a fight. All I could go off of was what I know from the politics of the fight, knowing that Bryan Lua is the house guy. They want him to win. They don't give a damn about Kevin. They don't like, to be told, to be blunt, they don't give a fuck about Kevin. Kevin can lose and go crawl under a rock. They wouldn't give a fuck about Kevin. So I know that knowledge going in, politically speaking. Then I go off of what the little bit that I can see because that's what Golden Boy would show me. And I'm seeing Kevin put hands and feet all over Bryan Lua, right? Then I go on Twitter, right, and by all accounts, in the first 4 or 5 rounds, it appears that Bryan Lua had been hurt by Kevin Piedrahita. Kevin was the more effective fighter earlier on, and Kevin actually, when the fight was scored, so the fight wound up getting declared a draw. But if we know anything about boxing politics, when you're the B side, especially when you're from a place like Colombia, where really not a lot of big money fighters come from Colombia, they don't got no reason to give Kevin a draw in California against a Chicano Mexican American who signed the Golden Boy. So if you're the B side like Kevin and you get a draw in the situation, you know what that means. You know it means he probably won. They didn't want to give it to him. So yeah, and the crazy thing is, it was a majority draw. The only judge that scored the fight in favor of either fighter was actually one of the judges scored it 78-74 for Kevin Piedrahita. So one of the judges thought that Kevin beat the brakes off Bryan Lua. So Kevin Piedrahita, I feel like he's got to be someone that, when you look at a fighter who, you know, is a lot better than the record indicates. He's getting better through experience and learning on the job. This is a guy that's like that. And, you know, when I look at the weight class and the landscape of the super featherweight division, 130 pounds, you know, I think he's someone that could make a lot of noise in the division. Kevin's been getting a lot of good sparring over the last year. He's been sparring guys like he sparred Richardson Hitchens, Kermel Moton. He's been training down there at the Pro Box facility, working like it's nobody else's business. So this, I'm telling you guys, don't let the record deceive you. This kid can fight. And if Golden Boy Promotions was smart, they would go bankroll some money behind Kevin, because Kevin, I'll tell you this, if Kevin was put in some fights where he would actually like be brought in to win instead of being brought in to lose, he'd win those fights. He wouldn't do no Daniel Luna. He wouldn't be doing the Bryan Lua. He'd actually be winning these fights. These guys, a lot of these prospects, and I'm not speaking just about Bryan Lua or Daniel Luna, but I'm saying prospects in general in boxing. A lot of these guys be getting bankroll, all this money behind them, being brought in to win, and they still can't win. They still not like that. But Kevin gets brought in to lose, and he starts putting hands and feet on everybody, and he barely got any amateur fights. So I like Kevin. He's 25 years old, but he already has a lot of good experience. He's getting a lot of good experience at 25 years old, and I think that they should definitely run it back. They should definitely run it back, because they flat out robbed Kevin, and Golden Boy did their best to not put any clips out there, not show the fight, because odds are they probably didn't. Maybe the matchmakers didn't even believe in Bryan Lua enough to put him on up higher on the card. But either way, I'm gonna say it like this: Golden Boy. I'm not even gonna say Bryan Lua. I'm not even gonna say Daniel Luna. I'm gonna say Golden Boy prospects exposed by the Golden Boy killer Kevin Piedrahita. All right, because how do you reconcile that? How do you have a fight that you say you're gonna live stream it? I can see it in the background, and your guys getting beat the fuck up, and you don't put it on. You don't need. They didn't even show any damn highlights of the fight, until maybe later on in the card. But either way, guys, look, I just wanted to bring some light to that. Kevin Piedrahita, even though he got a draw in a fight he should have won against an undefeated prospect, really good fighter, and he's had 2 fights in a row after 2 tough losses early in his career to Dominic Valle and Eric Mondragon. He's come back and responded with 2 really good performances. One against Daniel Luna, where he knocked him out in 65 seconds. Basically sent him packing. And then Bryan Lua, who got all this experience, who's supposed to be this and supposed to be that, he got a draw in a fight that everything was stacked in his favor to win. So that kind of shows you who's who in boxing. But yeah, Kevin Piedrahita, I want you guys to follow him, look out for him. Good fighter. He's learning on the job, and just had to bring some light to that here on True School Sports, because this is the home of boxing. But yeah. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Make sure you guys take the time to subscribe. And like I say in every single one of these videos, you can love me or you can hate me, but I'm just a kid from Dania. So until next time, take care, guys. Thank you for watching another video on the untouchable True School Sports Empire. For more great boxing content just like this, make sure you guys stay tuned and subscribe. You won't be disappointed.